Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we are going to be taking a look at some Ultra League battles that I did with this team that was suggested to me on live stream by AlphaPhoebe. I went 4-1 on live stream, so I thought, oh, this is a pretty good team. Why don't I give it a few more sets off stream, see how I do. And these are just some of the battles that I did. So I'm going to lead Ampharos with Volt Switch, Thunder Punch, and Focus Blast. And my goal, okay, so man, this happened to me so many times. People are so good at switching. Anyways, then I have Earthring with Shadow Claw, Close Combat, and Play Rough. And you're going to see how dominant this Shadow Claw variant of Earthring is against the Shadow Claw Giratina, because it does double resist the Shadow Claws. And then, but this Giratina got the boost, which is really annoying. And then I also have Togekiss with Charm, Ancient Power, and Flamethrower. Yeah, this is an extra annoying variation of Giratina. So I decided to shield so I can get off this Play Rough and like force another shield. And then as well, these Shadow Claws are not doing that much damage, so it's not like you can farm me down. And as well, I'm still doing super effective damage. He actually switches out, which is pretty interesting. Especially since it had the boost. If it would have shielded and then built up some additional energy, then it actually would have been pretty tough to deal with. So, all right. So I get hit by this Shadow Ball, and then I make a really dumb mistake here. I wasn't sure how much energy they had generated previously, so I shielded and it ended up being a Power-Up Punch. So having that shield later would have been really useful. So they switch into Togekiss. I'm going to hit the Ancient Power, but to be honest, shielding the Power Punch is probably what... probably not, actually. Probably what allowed me to win the match a little bit later. Because, I guess the Giratina... Let's see here. I Thunder Punch to take out this Togekiss. And I just need to land one Volt Switch. Unfortunately, they have energy. And then they Ancient Power me, hoping to get the boost, and then I'm able to Charm down. So GG. And I'm going to go into this next match. Again, this team had like pros and cons. It had like I definitely made some mistakes, and you're going to see a little bit. And part of it's like a guessing game, like when you end up in a bad lead. So I'm going against Banish Boy, who was featured in the first King of the Hill live stream. So this is a favorable lead for me, and they go into Registeel, and I really debate on what to switch out to. I decide that I'm okay to stay in, and I make some mistakes. What did I do here? I think I decided to shield. It's a Focus Blast. Focus Blast actually only does about half to Ampharos. So this is a very favorable matchup. These Volt Switches are adding up, so the Thunder Punch. And then we're like kind of overcharging. It's fine. What happens here? Okay, they don't shield. And I don't shield as well. Again, it's not like so squishy. Well, it does more than half, but it does quite a bit. And then what comes in? I think it's probably a Shift Tree. Yeah, Shift Tree comes in, and I'm going to look to land this Focus Blast. To grab the shield, and then I switch out into... Okay, I think I let this go, actually. It's okay. I'm going to let him burn some energy. I don't need this Ampharos anymore. He actually undercharges the Leaf Blade, and now I'm starting to go into town on both his Pokemon. In a very good position right now. I'm going to... it was good that I conserved the shield, and then here comes Ice Punch, and then I'm going to look to land this Ancient Power. If he doesn't shield, then I'm going to be able to Charm down. He's not going to be able to get off two. Maybe he wouldn't have got off anyways. But it certainly would have been much closer. And then he Ice Punches. And then I'm in a very good position right now. This Shift Tree is only going to be able to get off one charge move because I was able to get the Charm on the switch in. And then here comes the Leaf Blade. And then that's GG for that team. Pretty interesting team. Obviously, the Registeel was designed to counter fairies, but it's very tough. Yeah, that team would be pretty tough to run on well, I guess the thing yeah, it's a solid team. So this is the one of the tricky situations. It's a Shadow Claw variant. I should always check which variant it is. But so they're gonna go for the Ancient Power. Actually, the Dragon Claw, which does chunk away, and they switch into Togekiss, which is totally fine. And I'm gonna go land the Play Rough. Actually, does quite a bit of damage. And then if I can get to this second Play Rough, I'm gonna force a Shield or win Switch Advantage. As you can see, these Shadow Claws are absolutely chunking away on Togekiss. And they get Charmed through. Okay, so I'm not in a particularly great situation. I go into Ampharos, and I think I don't shield this Ancient Power. It's only Ancient Power. It does chunk quite a bit, and then I'm gonna look to Charm, and then I think I switch out into. What happens? Oh, they come in with Swampert. Okay, and then I build up a little bit of energy, and then I switch out, and then they switch out into Giratina, and then I really think about like what charge move I need to shield. And I end up so I'm gonna look to KO this Giratina before it gets off a charge move or force the last shield. Either is fine. And here comes Swampert. Swampert's gonna need to land at least 2, maybe 3. Well, it has to land 2. And I'm in a good position right now. And I could switch out. I already have a Focus Blast ready, but I'm going to look to land this Ancient Power, and then I'm immediately going to switch out and land this Focus Blast. Able to take the next game, so that was GG's. So this team was pretty interesting. Obviously struggles against it struggles against Shift Tree and Giratina leads, but I was able to navigate around there. But to be honest, like it's mostly because like when I counter switched, I was still able to do quite a bit of damage, and then Togekiss was really good in the end. Like for example, if they would have had Registeel in the end, then I'm like kind of not in a very good position. So part of it's just like guessing appropriately. So this is a very favorable lead. As you can see, these Volt Switches are doing quite a bit, and I'm going to be able to tank a charge move, and they actually go for the Ice Punch. And I throw another one, and they switch out still. Ah, God. Which is fine. It's fine. It is what it is. And then I switch out into Togekiss, so I can secure this win. I'd rather go into Ursaring, but it's fine. I'm going to be able to survive another Hydro Cannon, and then I'm going to be able to Charm down. Yeah, and then just barely able to KO. I forget what comes in next. It's opposing Togekiss. So this Ancient Power is going to deal super effective damage if it does go through. And it does connect. And they let Charm it down. And now I'm in a very favorable position. Basically, Ampharos can take out both Pokemon. And but I know they're going to... I debate just Volt switching down, but I'm taking a little bit too much charm damage. And there you go, I connect, and then I know I'm going to connect with this last last Thunder Punch, and then I can switch out to Earthring and display Rough. I have a shield, 2 shields, so I'm going to be in a really good position. Even though Earthring is really squishy and definitely would get KO'd by 1 Dynamic Punch, they end up throwing the Ice Punch, and then I'm able to beat them to the charge move. They would need to throw 2 anyways, and one of them being Dynamic Punch. And I'm able to KO with Play Rough. So Ursaring, really weak to Poliwrath, but does have that like late game win condition with the Play Rough. Again, this is like, I would say not an easy team to use, because Volt Switch is pretty difficult to use, but it's a pretty fun team. So this is like an amazing, like you can see these Volt Switches are absolutely chunking away, and basically 1 Thunder Punch would KO. So I'm actually okay with in this situation. And then they switch out. I switch out into Ursaring. I don't really have a better situation. I think I decide to shield, and it actually ends up being a rock slide, which I definitely would have been able to tank a little bit better. But I really want to get off more Shadow Claw damage. And I go for the play rough. What did I do? Decide to shield or not? I do decide to shield. They go for the dynamic punch. A rock slide definitely would have KO'd. So I go for another play rough. And what do I do here? Oh yeah, I think they go into Gyarados. Yeah, and then I make the aggressive play. Even landing one Volt Switch is going to be pretty good. And then I go for the Thunder Punch. And they actually have Lapras in the back. Okay, so I'm still in a good position. I'm not going to get KO'd by this Surf. But I make a mistake here. I definitely should have... I don't know if I should have committed. Let's see if I'm able to land one more Volt Switch after this. I'm not. So that was the right play, landing. And then it almost would not made a difference because I go back into Ursaring and I'm able to land the close combat with like 1 HP left. This is actually Teddy Ursa that I caught at the beginning of the stream. And then I switch out into Togekiss. Even if they land a Hydro Pump, I'm going to be able to survive, which is what they go for. And then I'm able to survive with quite a bit of health left. Well, enough to survive like at least like 5 or 6 more Dragon Breaths. And so I go into this next match. This is not a good situation. So I immediately go into Togekiss, and they go into Articuno, which is okay. And they make a pretty interesting decision here. And I actually didn't know if I could survive this. And they actually go for, which is pretty crazy. Like they go for the Ancient Power, which I'm not sure. I think they do pretty similar damage. Yeah. So Icy Wind actually does 2 more HP damage. So I definitely would have survived the Icy Wind, which is why I didn't shield. And then getting off the Ancient Power would have KO'd anyways. So yeah, so it was okay. That was like the best case scenario for me. And I end up Volt Switching it down, and then this is actually absolutely beautiful. Like watch this play. They switch into Swampert, and they immediately switch into Giratina, and then I just go to Farm City on this one. And then I just basically, I don't shield, I double resist all the charge moves, and then I basically just Shadow Claw all the way down. I think they're looking for the boost, which is probably the only like win condition they have. And by this point in time, they should be going for Shadow Ball, to be honest, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, and then I'm gonna look to land this close combat, and basically look to land back-to-back close combats. And I look to land another one. Now my defense is like super debuffed. And then, to be honest, I could have switched out here and then landed the Focus Blast. But I have 2 shields. So I think I end up shielding, and then I land another Focus Blast, another close combat, because I'm like just 1 Shadow Claw away. Even though like these Mud Shots are doing a tremendous amount of damage to me. So I'm able to KO. Obviously, there I was very lucky that they didn't have a great counter switch. Well, they had a good counter switch, Articuno. Okay, so this is a pretty interesting situation. So I totally expected them to switch, which is why I didn't throw the Thunder Punch right away. And then they actually get to the Hydro Cannon, and oh yeah, so this is very annoying. Wait, what happens here? They switch? I think they switched. Did they switch? No, they didn't. Okay. All right. So I land this Thunder Punch. Oh, yeah. So then what happens here? They shield. And then they make... Oh, no. Actually, no. It's a different game. Okay. So I go into Ursaring because it makes a little bit more sense. And I shield this Hydro Cannon. And to be honest, I could have been a little bit more aggressive here. Because they at that point in time, they only reached their 3rd waterfall, and they need 5. So I could have potentially farmed down, but it was a little too risky for me. They actually go into Giratina, and it was actually kind of a smart play because given like how debuff my defense is, and the fact that they're using Dragon Breath instead of Shadow Claw, I'm gonna do a lot of damage. And I'm kind of in a tricky situation right now, and I'm able to KO before they get off a charge move or another charge move. And then I really debate here on what to go for. I knew I had a big enough energy advantage, so I actually go for the Flamethrower, which does 15 more damage, and I think that's ultimately what allowed me to KO this Clefable. Because I had what did I have, like a 3 charm advantage or something like that? Yeah. I was just barely able to win against that Clefable, so it was pretty clutch play. Again, like and for sure, I can show some battles where I definitely struggled against. Okay, so this is a pretty interesting situation. So they have Scizor with oh yeah, so they actually hit me with the. Well, you're gonna see. I was like, oh, you know what? They hit me with Night Slash, not a big deal. They hit me with whatever, it's not a big deal. They actually hit me with the return. And then they make a nice switch into Giratina and Dragon Breath and down. And then I'm like, okay, this must be Dragon Breath. So I can't go into Ursaring. I'm going to go into Togekiss, which is probably what I want to go to anyways because of the Scizor. And I shield Ancient Power. And I'm going to look to land this Ancient Power myself. And then I know I need to switch because these bullet punches are going to start hurting quite a bit. So I switch out into Ursaring. And I really shouldn't have shielded this. It's debatable. So they Night Slash. And then they have Gyarados. I'm like, okay, this is my window to potentially win. Is I can farm down this Gyarados and then land the Ancient Power. And they actually go for the Crunch, which is totally fine by me. And I'm like, please KO. And then they do KO. And then I'm like, as long as they don't go for the Hydro Pump, I'm in a good position. And the Switch Clock is not quite up yet, but it should be up pretty soon. They did switch out later than me. So they basically had a small window there to switch. And because they didn't switch in time, I got enough energy to land this Ancient Power, which ended up allowing me to KO this Scizor. If they would have switched out faster, which is probably what I would have done, trying to maintain such a positive matchup, especially since, like, were they odds? I guess, like, you would switch out if it was, like, a grass-type Pokemon. Like, if I had, like, a Venusaur, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But you have such a positive matchup against Togekiss, and Gyarados is such a bad matchup against Togekiss, kind of makes sense. Okay, so going against my good friend Gary Oak, and he goes into Giratina with the Dragon Breath variant. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to switch out to Togekiss. I'm a little bit slow on the switch, but it's fine. So I shield the Ancient Power, and I'm in a good position right now. I don't want this Lapras to be able to farm up too much energy, so I'm going to let this Ancient Power come through. And then I'm going to look to farm down. And then what happens here? I look to land this Ancient Power. And then my Switch Clock is almost up. He actually lets it come through. So I debate switching, but I'm like, okay, I don't want to give up switch advantage. And then, so I have a Thunder Punch ready. So I look to land this Thunder Punch. I also have like quite a bit of HP. So I know I can absorb a charge move. And I'm pretty sure this was just a Surf because he only done like 4 Ice Shards. And I'm in a good position. So I land another Thunder Punch, which I think he's going to shield. And what happens here? Oh yeah. So then shields, and then I look to KO, and then he switched it at the last second, and then I see it's a Poliwrath. So I figured it was like a water type in the back, or else like why would he not switch? And then because I overcharged, because I was going for the faint down, then I was able to land back-to-back Thunder Punches, and I'm able to KO with the Volt Switch damage. Just so deadly. Volt Switch is so good. It's like a ridiculous move. And all these high attack electro types, pretty dangerous. Obviously, they're kind of squishy. And so again, I'm in a really good position right now. Okay, they switch out into Giratina, and then I just check what fast move it has. Ends up having Shadow Claw, so I switch out into Ursaring. They got a boost here. Oh God, this is so annoying. Yeah, I basically auto lose here. Oh, I could have. So I kind of played this wrong out then, mostly because I was frustrated. So they switch out. I had a small potential win condition. You'll see in a little bit. I probably should have shielded there, and then look to land the play rough. That probably would have been my only play. So I decided to okay, let me go to Togekiss and look to try to charm down. So this was my play. I'm desperate to land this Ancient Power, and then I was gonna immediately switch out into Ampharos and then land the Thunder Punch. But you're gonna see here. Oh yeah, so then I go for the faint down. So here's the, and if my opponent is in the so I kind of got tilted. Admittedly, I was like, stupid thing. So I just go for the Focus Blast. I could have double Thunder Punch there, and then this was basically my win condition, was that I double Thunder Punch, and because I was at 100 energy, I was only one Volt Switch away from another one. My only win condition there was if their third Pokemon was Gyarados. Otherwise, like any other Pokemon, I definitely would have lost. So, anyways, GG to my opponent. Yeah, let me know what you think of this team. It's a really fun team. I really like Ampharos. You could also run with Dragon Pulse, which I know Caleb Peng likes to run with it, but I think this is a very spicy team, but it actually ended up being really effective for me. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next video.